I'm so freaking busy. I feel bad, and this sounds like this is more than first world problems. This is Lucky Boy in the first world problems. That I do so much right now that like I neglect a lot, and Instagram is being neglected.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for those out there on Instagram. I feel like I used to be funny on Instagram story, and I used to make content for my Instagram story, but I'm either talking to a microphone, talking to a camera, or I'm talking to my live stream setup, and so like I can't story things.
Yeah.
Because I'm busy doing the content things, and then when I'm done with that, I literally like grab some food and then go lay in bed. I was in bed last night at 8:30, and I just laid in bed. I just started watching old news, so no spoilers or anything. Black Mirror, the first season.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Connor got me onto it.
That's good.
Wow. So this is
scary.
Connor's fault. We're definitely throwing him out of the bus. Co-producer of this thing does all my YouTube. Yeah. He's like, yeah, dude, so good. Just started episode 1, and it's about a dude fucking a pig.
Yes.
And I was like, well, this is dumb and weird. He's like, give it another chance. And then I watched another one, and it was too gory, just like it literally felt like Saw to me. And I was like, well, this is dumb too. And then I haven't watched it that was probably 3 years ago, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So then, but then everyone said, some people said they took those episodes off actually.
Oh, some of them might be off.
I think some of those got removed. So then the ones I've been watching are more like a psycho thriller or like a social statement.
Yeah.
And those I can get down with. The one was last night. I literally did go to bed at 8:30. The dating app one, I don't think it's a new season. Is that the old one, Connor? No, it's a dating app, and we each have a thing, and it tells you, like, you're on table 3 with Steffi, and you go to table 3, and there's some girl there because she got a message saying you're at table 3 with Mike, and then you can press the button, and it tells you when your relationship is expired. And so you at the same time we press the button and it says like 3 months. Like, all right. Some of them say 12 hours, so it's like a one-night hookup. And then some of them say like 5 years, and then some I think you. The more crazy. I don't want to give the real spoiler because it is a good episode. But there's other ways, or maybe not, a twist on how you find your true love. But this company in the future says that 99.9% of you will find your true love through this process. And it's taking information from your dates. It's taking information from
everyone you go on.
Everything you do. It knows you. I think it knows how you eat. It knows all these things about you.
Westworldy.
Very Westworldy.
Yeah.
But so like that's really good, and people aren't like ripping their thumb off in front of me. And that's what I do all night. So I create all this content, and then I go to bed.
The Star Trek themed one, or semi-themed one from the last season.
So that's the season I'm watching.
That is nuts.
Yeah. But that's like psycho thriller.
So good.
You're talking about like the billionaire basically made his own video game and shoves people in it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that one.
Yeah, I watched that last night.
Yeah. That was really
that's
good.
really good.
Really, really, really good.
Yeah, all those are really good. I love all that. But it must have been the season before that just was like the pig and too gruesome.
First season was the pig.
Yeah, the concepts are great, and I like that. But I don't want to watch. Isn't it the Saw? Isn't that known for like the show? People cutting people's arms off like slowly.
Yeah, right. Yeah. That where people are given a choice between basically dying and then mutilating themselves or somebody else. Yeah. Not that I have seen those. I'm talking about the genre. Gore porn.
Yeah, I don't like that.
I'm not a gore porn guy.
I'm not either. I don't. One of my best friends, he's a nurse now, which bless his heart, but like he's like into that. Like he's into like not like into it. Don't give me quote not into it, but like he doesn't mind seeing someone's arm snapped in two with the bone moving around. Yeah. In real life or a thing. And like I don't mind it if it's in like a Game of Thrones and some dude's just getting yacked and they're moving on, but I don't like it when it's a close-up and you're just seeing, like, that's not what I'm into.
My wife turns her head from Game of Thrones, and she's been a nurse for a long time.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, she's like, oh, I don't see that. I just see that.
That is pretty funny. I wonder if it has something to do with her she sees results of accidents. She doesn't see a knife going into an arm.
Yeah. She sees a lot of worst-case scenarios.
But only the end.
Yeah.
Right.
You don't see it happening.
Yeah, she's not seeing it happening, so maybe the happening messes her up, but the result doesn't bug her.
I'm sure that's probably the case.
Yeah. Well, all of it kind of bugs me. Actually, I don't know, because I've been in person, nothing too gruesome, but like sports stuff, I was like, like a kid would dislocate his shoulder and like it looks gross, and he's screaming.
Yeah, I have a real problem with any sort of mutilation looking thing.
Yeah, I don't love it, but like in a game situation, like I can be calm, like, you all right, dude? Yeah, all right. And he's not in my head. He's not all right. His shoulder's way out of place, but I can kind of be that guy.
I can tell you a longitudinal story. When my older son was 7, he fell off of monkey bars at one of the local parks, and they were pretty high for whatever reason. It was just like bark below, and as he was falling, he put his arm behind him to catch himself.
Yeah,
and he broke both the bones in his near his wrist.
Yeah,
both the big bones, but near his wrist, and so his arm was a funny shape. It was like they call it an S shape where both the bones are collapsed and everything. Anyway, freaked me the fuck out. I had trouble like moderating my speed in the car on the way to the hospital.
And it's your kid?
And it's my kid.
That's a little different.
Well, but see, hang with me here. And then they had to set it in the ER. This doctor is like, he's an old orthopedic surgeon guy, and he's like, yeah, we could take it to surgery, but I think if I can just do this, we can spare him the surgery. And so they give him drugs to make him not remember what happens, and then they set it, and it was gruesome, and I had to sit on the floor because I was going to pass out.
Yeah.
And then flash forward to his son. When his son was born, he had a lot of health problems. He actually he pooped into the amniotic fluid and then got into his lungs. So when he was born, his lungs had junk in them, and he was having trouble breathing, and so he was on a ventilator and all this stuff for 16 days, something like that. Yikes. Along the way, everybody was really scared. He had a pretty good chance of not making it through that.
Yeah.
But one of the days that he was in the ICU and I was in there with him, they're like, "Oh, we need to change his IV." And little babies, they run it in their head because their head is not closed, and so they can get to those vessels. I'm like, we need to change this. It's like, are you going to have a problem with it? Is going to make you sick to your stomach? And I'm like, no, I think I'll be okay. And then it was completely fascinating to me.
Oh,
it was, and it should have freaked me out.
Yeah.
And it's my grandkid, so I should be, but it was interesting, and I had a conversation with the nurse the whole time it was going on. It was great. I understood a lot of what she was doing, and then I got the explanation and everything else. And it was awesome.
I can't do that stuff.
Yeah, well, I didn't think I would ever get to that point, but I did.
Yeah, I don't think I can. I don't get, because I was thinking about being a fireman before I got into whatever career it is. I didn't know.
whatever this is.
I can't
now.
explain. Yeah, and they obviously deal with. People think they're only hacking down freaking fires. You're obviously dealing with a lot of emergency calls, injuries, etc.
Right. Most of what they do is not fires.
Yeah, and I think I could handle it because when you're driving and the siren's going, I think my adrenaline kick up and then I could do anything. It's just when if it happened right now, I probably couldn't deal with it. Then because there's a difference. Like I am adrenaline and then I get exposed, or I get exposed that causes the adrenaline, and then now I probably get flush and pass out.
Have trouble.
Yeah. I don't know where the gruesomeness started. I think it was the shows and things I was watching, but the health you brought up, that was a thing. I still do it sometimes on my Instagram story, and people ask me, they're like, what the hell does that mean? Like, bro, I'm just saying health, dumb. Like, that's all.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal. But, yeah, used to use Instagram more. I use it a good amount still, but not as much as I used to. But today's topic, health. Nutritionally.
Yes.
Versus perhaps performance. Yeah. Nutritionally.
In terms of diet.
Yeah, in terms of diet and how you eat. And then also perhaps versus aesthetics nutritionally, which may be a whole different realm. They may overlap. My not so professional, kind of professional opinion is that a lot of times they will overlap. I think there's strategies that high-level bodybuilders use to get very, very lean. Majority of bodybuilding still, although some of you may be beyond this niche and unaware, but the majority of it still uses performance-enhancing drugs. We're all in a niche, and so we know a lot of natural bodybuilders, and so you think it's maybe more even than it is, but majority of folks.
At the state that we are at now, we know more natural bodybuilders than not. That was not always the case for me.
No, and I still think in the scheme, if you go to magazines and you go to Instagram and you go to pop culture.
Same with powerlifters.
Yeah, for sure. But in the scheme.
I know a lot more tested ones now than I did before. Anyway.
But if you surveyed the scheme of them, there's probably still more that use drugs that don't. Especially in bodybuilding. Powerlifting, you may have an argument, but bodybuilding for sure, there's more people that use drugs that don't. And so this affects the scheme of their nutritional strategies. And so based on that, I think that those folks, and obviously getting to an extreme leanness so that you see freaking every vein in your body is not healthy. But the overall strategy that a smart, natural or not natural bodybuilder may use, I think can go along with health guidelines, where you're controlling your calorie intake, you're eating a good amount of vegetables and fruits. I've worked closely with both Alberto Nunez and Eric Helms on projects, on advice from myself, and on this podcast. Eric Helms, who we had on here, PhD, nutritional science, et cetera, a lot of those basic, Lay Norton, a lot of the basic things they tell you are, get control of your calories, get a serving of 2 vegetables a day, serving 2 of fruit a day, and then hit your macros after that. And I think that is a really good balance of health, both physically and mentally, which I think are I guess we need to define health too, because feeling good, some part of it. Some people may argue longevity is not a part of it. Some people may not want to live long, right? Yeah. You'd rather just live good and then die.
Yeah.
Longevity may be a different diet as well, and that's hopefully why we're going to get Jason on here to explain it to us. But for me, I want to feel good. I want to perform the activities I want to perform daily or exercise, and feel good doing those. And then my mental health, to be able to snag on some pizza, to have a beer, not stress about it internally or externally, and not look like shit before or after. Be in control of how I want to look and feel. So those are the factors for me. And I think for me, whatever it is, I found my balance where I got some little abs popping out. I feel good about how I look. I can perform enough. I'm lifting 5 times a week. My numbers are going up. I'm feeling more muscular. I'm allowed to go to a baseball game last weekend, have a beer, not stress about it mentally, wake up the next day, not feel like shit, not look like shit, control the cravings by having some pizza, having a burger, whatever it might be, and still kind of maintain the overall arching goal of where I'm going.
I think that, excuse me. I think that maybe the thing that we're really getting at here is people using what they're trying to do for performance as an excuse to eat a particular way.
Unhealthy, arguably. Right.
Mostly like, I need to gain weight for whatever.
Weight class, muscle, football, to make the football team.
And unfortunately, like, we see a lot of weight class athletes who are trying to fill out a weight class, and at the last, or eventually they get to the point that they're bumping the weight class, and then they're trying to cut back down to the weight class or the weight class below that.
UFC's been a big thing on water cuts lately. There's a big thing actually on our friend Cynthia Cavijo, who won her fight, but she won her last 2 fights. Shout out to Cynthia. But she almost didn't make weight on one of them and looked pretty not good at weigh-ins, and so it caused a big rustle in the community.
Yeah, and we've known a lot of people who justified their diet by saying that they were trying to gain weight, or it didn't matter because they needed to be heavy or whatever. And I just, there still has to be a health consideration there, right?
Yeah, I think for us it is obviously very apparent because we've been in powerlifting, like bulk mode, bro, going up a weight class. But I think it's more common than that. Even like the football kid, like kids 5'8", 150 at junior in high school, and he wants to play linebacker. Coach says, well, if you're 175, I'll get you there. And the kid's just drinking milk and whatever all day to get there.
Suddenly dirty bulk all over the place.
And the kid doesn't even know about those things. He just knows if I eat more, I'll get there.
Right.
And then I wonder, long-term effects of that. Like I think where you're heading, is there an effect of gaining 10 pounds in a year, good, bad, whatever? Is there a health effect of even the amount of muscle? I imagine this might be a hair beyond the scope of Jason. He's really good with nutrition and diet, but now we're talking longevity, health, doctor-y things. But we'll converse with them about it. But holding too much muscle, and obviously it's hard to dictate because a lot of the young deaths that happen in the fitness industry may be correlated with performance-enhancing drugs and lifestyle. I haven't heard about it that much in what I would assume is a natural athlete, but is holding too much muscle perhaps unhealthy as well? Hypothetically, let's say you could get to
too much body weight.
Too much shit,
just
right?
Too much body weight, period.
It's real. I don't know if I've seen them 300 pounds, lean, shredded, natural athlete. Don't think they exist. But hypothetically, let's say they do.
Natural? No, I don't think so.
But let's say hypothetically it does. That's probably still just too much mass. Where obviously it's apparent holding too much mass of fat is unhealthy. And holding too much muscle, what seems to be with performance-enhancing drugs, by just 1,000% observational, seems to be unhealthy as well for a long period of time. I wonder what that period of time is that you can dirty bulk, gain some weight rapidly, and maybe not affect, from 20 to 25. Can you just not give a fuck from age 20 to 25? Clean it up at 26 and live a long, healthy life?
Or are you setting yourself up to have weight problems for the rest of your life?
Or did that little bit of damage cause some kind of long-term, I don't want to say cancer, but who knows what, onto that person? And then what does the diet look like? Because, the USA and what they're telling you to eat, by governmental guidelines, say there's a minimum requirement of each vitamin, mineral, et cetera, and you could probably get that fairly easy. Sadly, most Americans probably don't, because I think still we have a large obesity problem. I haven't looked at stats lately, but I imagine it's real bad. And I imagine people are eating not many veggies and fruits. A lot of people aren't having family dinners. I was super lucky that my mom cooked and my dad cooked. And so depending on their schedule, someone's cooking dinner. And every night it was some kind of protein. I didn't even know it, but like they set me up for success in a lot of ways. I probably ate too many snacks as a kid, but a lot of ways, every dinner was some kind of protein, some kind of carb, a potato, a rice, and then some kind of veggie every single night for 17, 18 years of my life. So in that stance, I was really lucky. I don't think majority of America gets that.
We have a kind of a rule at home, and we sort of have always had it. You got to have at least 3 different colors on your plate.
Yeah, I've heard that too, and it's a great thing because I've done it, and obviously it's meals, not days worth of food. But I look down and I'm like, shit, everything's yellow.
Exactly.
I got some French fries, I got some fried chicken, and I got a fucking burger next to it. Like, fuck, it's gonna taste good, but this doesn't make much sense.
Yeah. All right, well, let's talk to Jason and see if he can actually sort any of this out for us. I think we've thrown a lot of things at the wall. Hopefully something stuck.
We'll converse about something. Memory lane.
Memory lane.
Before podcasting. Even.
Before podcasting.
I didn't know it was before podcasting, but Jim approached me, Robot, and Ryan Cove, 2 of my oldest training partners, for a cooking show.
Yep.
So if you guys want to go down weird memory lanes, the first project, I guess, besides Jim just filming me in the gym or interviewing me about lifting weights, was a cooking show. And I don't cook. I don't have a lot of talent. Actually, I can cook. I'm not a chef. Yeah. Right? I can throw down some meat and some sides, but not like a flambe or shit.
Yeah, so the premise of the show is kind of like anybody can learn to cook. It's not that complicated.
Right, and that's also what this show was actually brought to you by Green Chef, which makes it super easy to cook. Again, I cannot cook. Connor, who helps produce the show and lives with me, he's got some chops, but he's no chef either, and he whipped these things up. How Green Chef works is basically it lets you choose from a wide variety, easy-to-follow lifestyle and or ingredients, and it sends you everything all bundled up, ready to cook. They're quick, they're easy, there's step-by-step instructions, there's some tips in there, there's a photo guide. It's literally easier than putting IKEA together. They go step-by-step for you. Green Chef's expert chefs design flavorful recipes that go with your lifestyle and beyond just normal stuff. It's not just chicken, rice. It's like real recipes, taste super good. It's diverse meal plans with tons of different options for week to week, depending on what you enjoy and what allows you to stick to your goals. Enjoy clean ingredients you can trust, seasonally sourced for peak freshness.
People wonder, like, what's different about this one? Green Chef is a USDA certified organic company. And the thing is, I don't think I've seen any other meal plan that offered so many different options. They've got paleo, vegan, vegetarian, pescatarian, which is fish for y'all, Mediterranean, which is most of my diet's pretty Mediterranean most of the time, Heart Smart, lean and clean, keto, gluten-free, and omnivore. Omnivore meaning you'll eat anything, which is also me some of the time.
Like Jim said, there's so many different varieties in the type of packages or meals that you choose. There's something for everyone. It's easy to eat well and discover new recipes every single week, trying new foods, new styles. You can switch it up your meal plan whenever you're ready to try a new one. Green Chef, wide variety, high quality. Again, super clean ingredients. They all tasted super fresh. Connor and I went with omnivore. Yeah. One of the best meals that he chopped up real quick. I was actually just working and he surprised me. Like the best roommate you could ask. Walked upstairs with a sausage pizza. Super good. I don't know necessarily what the calories are. They're probably a little bit higher, but lower than normal calories of a pizza. And tasted great. Everything tasted homemade, home fresh. The dough tasted like Connor made it, even though he didn't. But it didn't taste like super oily or anything. So it was delicious.
Yeah, we were on vacation when my box came in. So last night was the first chance that I had to dive into it. We had the portobello gyros with tzatziki, and it was delicious. It was really good. The bread, the pita bread was great, and when it comes in a package and you throw it in the oven, and the rest of it requires a little bit of prep, but it's not difficult. No part of it is difficult. If you have pretty basic kitchen stuff, you can put it together.
Bada boom, bada bing. If you guys want to try it out, we got $50 off your first Green Chef box. Go to greenchef.us/facts, FACTS, and you'll get $50 off. Again, that's greenchef.us/FACTS. Check it out.
Facts. Well, speaking of performance and health and all of that stuff, actually, our final topic is about dieting for performance versus dieting for health, general health.
Mm-hmm. And maybe before we get started, me and Jim might have made up some stuff I forgot, but maybe you can even give us what your definition of health is, because I think everyone's definition of health is maybe different. For me, I kind of said, like, I'm not trying to live to 120 and have the last 40 years suck. For me, health personally is like kind of feel good, no disease, no injury, look good enough, live long enough, but not get fucked up. Where I think some people might want to live forever, despite going. I don't want to have surgeries. Well, I don't want any of that.
I think it's important that we just create that clarification. I mean, I think that when we talk about longevity, what is longevity to you? I'm like you. I don't want to live to be 110 years old with somebody changing my diapers the last 20 years of my life. That's not what I want. Like a life, longevity for me is I want to wake up with energy. I want to feel good throughout the day. I want to be happy doing what I'm doing. And I just want to enjoy every moment. If that means I only live to be 85, I'm totally at peace with that. Now that's me. I don't place that on other people. You might come to me and say, you want to be 130 years old. Okay, cool. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. And then performance, I think we can all agree.
Tom Bilyeu's big on that.
Performance, I think we can all agree, is just doing best at whatever task you have. Basketball, powerlifting, whatever it might be. So
I mean, it's a very objective thing, right? Performance should not be subjective.
Yeah,
that's a good point. And a lot of people are just weekend warriors with this kind of stuff too, and so
even they might want to perform a little bit.
Right.
Yeah. So what are some of the differences in your eyes in nutritional protocols, and your thoughts?
Well, ironically, I mean, the foundation of everything I do, so if you came and you had a consult with me and we were either on FaceTime or we were on, in person here in Scottsdale, I would draw a triangle for you. And at the top point, it would say performance. The bottom left point, it would say aesthetics. And bottom right, it would say longevity. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you the marker, and you have to place where your goals live inside of that triangle. And the reason I make you do that is because if you put at the very top performance, right, which is what Rich Froning or Matt Frazier would come in and tell me, the two CrossFit Games champions. All they give a fuck about is winning the CrossFit Games, the end. So, they didn't win the games multiple times for having the best abs or for having the best physique or for blood work and markers. None of that shit was ever taken into account. It's a very objective thing. Either their times or their loads lifted were the best, and everything they did in their life, their training, their recovery, and their nutrition revolved around that. Now, conversely, if you want to live to be 120 years old, you didn't give me the caveat that you want to be 120 years old with abs, banging chicks like Hugh Hefner, right? Living to be 120 years old is living to be 120 years old. There's no cosmetic or performance that's going to come with that. In fact, I'd argue your pursuit of longevity will be in direct contrast to trying to be the best performance athlete, which is why the bottom right point of the triangle is maximal distance from the very top of the triangle. And we can bring aesthetics into this conversation as well. The guys that are trying to achieve peak aesthetics, and Mike, you're friends with Eric and the 3DMJ guys.
Yeah.
Ask them how they feel when they get to a stage. Number one, their performance has taken a hit, but their quality of life, the way you and I define longevity, has also taken a hit. It's
an extreme.
Awful. They have no sex drive, they can't get an erection, they sleep all the time, they can't focus like they normally would. And so anytime we're looking at the extremes, they're literally going to be as far away from each other as possible. So when I always ask a client, where in this, where are you willing to make sacrifices? But if you don't create the understanding on the front end to a client that says they're pursuing longevity, that, hey, your pursuit of maximal longevity is going to come with a performance decrement and likely an aesthetic decrement for failure. And I think that the psychology of understanding what your goals actually are and what your goals is the single most overlooked piece of the dietary world.
What's the majority?
Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think any goal we have, taking CrossFit or powerlifting or strongman, any goal we have, sadly, the law of specificity lies, and anything you want to go to and be very, very good at, you're going to have to sacrifice the other. If you want to squat 1,000 pounds, you're probably not going to be able to be the best runner you could be. Could you be an okay runner? Maybe, depending on genetics, training, age, et cetera, But I think that's kind of where you're getting with your diet. Like, at the risk of being really good at something, you're going to risk being not so good at other things.
And most people don't.
Absolutely.
Most people who are going to squat 1,000 pounds are not going to have the aesthetics of an Alberto
exactly.
Nunez.
Yeah.
Well, you put Alberto Nunez on stage next to the other 5, top natural bodybuilders. They don't ask them what their back squat is, and Alberto's one of the stronger natural bodybuilders.
Yeah,
he doesn't fucking get any extra points on stage for having a bigger back squat.
If only.
Hey, he would love that, but unfortunately, he's trying to win something that's the pinnacle of aesthetics, not performance or longevity. If he, they could give Mr. Olympia this year. Like, rumor has it, Kai Green's going to come back. Kai Green could win the Mr. Olympia and die the next day. He's still going to go down in history as Mr. Olympia. They didn't reward him or take away from him for, whatever use it took to win that. That's just part of their sport.
Yeah.
What do some of those diets maybe look like? And how similar, if we just say the person hypothetically, maybe we'll compare and contrast these 3 things. So we have your triangle example, which I like a lot. Let's say they go in each corner, right? So they're the extreme of longevity, they're the extreme of aesthetics, and they're the extreme of performance. And then somebody else is dead middle, where all of them kind of matter. How different, and I know it depends on person, obviously, and the sport, and aesthetics is even a gradient, right? If you want to look like Alberto, where every vein has a vein, or if you just want to look okay on the beach, right? That's way different. And then performance, obviously, is very different, too, if we're talking a marathon runner versus a power lifter versus a soccer player. But generally, what do maybe some aspects of those diets look like?
Yeah, so I'll give you some actual examples. When I was at the CrossFit Games 2-3 years ago, one of the athletes I worked with that year was Travis Mayer. He took 10th in the world, and when we were there, everyone's like, "What do you eat while you're at the games?" It was the one question everyone wanted to ask me, and I was like, "Well, he's eating about 700 to 800 grams of carbs a day, and dinner is typically a burger and fries." Because you got to remember, these guys are training 4 times during the day. We don't have time really to get real food in, so I need calories at night. Period. And I need something that I've tested that he can actually wake up tomorrow and train after, right? So if we've had pizza in the past and he's sluggish the next day, pizza is not a great source, even though it's calorie dense. But we tested prior to it that a burger and fries seems to work great. He wakes up the next day, he feels good. Literally, they say, he ate everything the same night. Now, I'm not going to sit here and try to tell you as a nutritionist that that's in any way healthy, because it's not. But I don't give a fuck about health that week. I'm paid to do a job, which is make him perform the best and recover the best. And so I'm making sure that he has the fuel and the recovery he needs to be his best. So that's the performance application. Now, do we do that year round? No, that's in season. There's some other different protocols, immediately post CrossFit Games, we're going into a postseason. We're looking at hormonal recovery, GI recovery, things like that, things that may have been damaged during the season. But from a performance application, that's what we're looking at. Now, in-season aesthetics, let's use a natural bodybuilding competition. We know, calories are going to be bare minimum. You're trying to get to that skinless kind of look where, veins have veins. And, and even for people that are trying to just look good on the beach, they're probably taking their calories to the lowest point that they will consume in the course of their life, because that might be the pinnacle of what they're trying to achieve. So there's no way that being in a significant deficit is going to make you perform better in the gym. There's also no way that being in a significant deficit is going to make you feel your best. You're not going to have the cognitive function. You're not going to have the mood stability. You're not going to have the sex drive. Those are just things that you have to get ready for. And then obviously on the longevity piece, the application just becomes controlling inflammation, controlling stress. So, from a food application, in a performance, it's going to be calories and then understanding the fuel substrate of your activity. So for most athletes, it's going to be carbohydrate, because most sports come down to being glycolytic. So maximum amounts of carbohydrate, regardless of what the aesthetic or longevity effect is there. In the bodybuilding world, it's going to be understanding your own unique physiology. Are you somebody that needs slightly more protein, less carbohydrate, less fat? Are you somebody that needs a ketogenic diet? Are you, because of lifestyle preferences, vegan? But, whatever it is, it's really about calorie and macronutrient control there. And then in longevity, the two diets that are often used there, and full transparency, I don't work with a ton of people that come to me that say, I want to be 120 years old. So I rarely am creating applications there. But, research tells us, a ketogenic or a plant-based approach are probably going to be our best bets.
Well, you just wrote a book.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, dude, ironically, but I wish that was more understood, right?
Yeah.
And so the person in the middle, I actually will call bullshit. Anyone that says they want to be in the middle, I think most people operate in the middle right now in their life. Yeah. And so if they're coming to me for help, it's because they have a desire to move out of the middle towards one of these points.
Yeah.
I think people that claim they want this balance are actually full of shit. Because I've never, I've drawn this triangle for thousands of people now, and I've never had somebody do that. Yeah. Because that's kind of status quo, and very few people are wanting to be status quo.
Yeah, I think the only status quo was something I've learned as I've aged. Instead of getting mad at anybody or confused, I just say they're dumb. And so people that are just stuck, they're and this works here because they're they're probably just too stupid. They didn't think about it. They haven't even given a thought about their self. They have no self-awareness, and they're just dumb. So they don't even really care what's going on, and they're just kind of moseying through life, which, hey, power to you dumb people. Sometimes I've also told myself, I'm no genius, but I wish I was dumber, because then I just wouldn't care as much about anything. You don't care. When you're dumb, you don't care how you look. When you're dumb, you don't care if you die. When you're dumb, you don't care if you perform good. You just kind of cruise.
I'm not going to worry about losing audience over that, because nobody who's actually dumb thinks they're dumb. So.
No, you guys are all so smart. Thanks for listening.
If you're listening right now, it's because you're smart. You are not in the dumb category.
So a food, you broke it up pretty good. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
You broke it up pretty good. So kind of overall calories and how to get those in during a performance time. Carbs obviously being kind of an emphasis. Aesthetic, kind of the macronutrient breakdown, like you said, and a calorie deficit depending if you're trying to be a bodybuilder, et cetera, et cetera. Lifelong, perhaps keto, perhaps vegan. But the food choices potentially could be very similar through the three.
Sure.
Right? You could still have chicken and broccoli and a potato when you're dieting. Chicken, broccoli, and potato maybe when you're trying to be just generally healthy. Chicken, broccoli, and potato when you're trying to perform. It's just the amounts and maybe the leniency in between.
I would argue that the quantities necessary to perform at the highest level are rarely going to be met with quote unquote high quality foods. Right? Again, right, we're looking 700-800 grams of carbs a day for your top performing athletes. And when you're training 3-4 times a day, how the hell are you going to get that much chicken and potato in?
Yeah. That's why there's Gatorade and who knows what else.
Right. And that's where I'm a big fan of workout, and I'm a big fan when I'm working with clients on understanding the nervous system and the nervous system response to training, because we're starting to see a lot of correlation, CNS, HPA axis, and a lot of the issues we're seeing with people's inabilities to create transformation or performance increase are HPA axis related. That's just relative to the last awful 10 to 15 dietary years that we've had as a culture. So I am a big fan inside of all these protocols, really around controlling the nervous system and making sure that there's no metabolic adaptations occurring. But yeah, from a food source perspective, you can, on the pinnacle of aesthetics, we joked earlier that sugar's the devil. There's zero research that says any amount of sugar inside, as long as you have the appropriate amounts of proteins, carbohydrates, fiber, and fat, there is no research that tells us any amount of sugar will not get you to where you want to be physique-wise. And there's a lot of fucking college kids that have done IIFYM that can validate that shit.
Yeah.
Now, but then we take that same approach and we look at somebody that's competing, and it's like, hey, maybe you have a really high sugar meal or a half before you train, you see some reactive hypoglycemia during training. Is that going to affect you? Well, I would argue, yes, it absolutely is. So food choice, in my opinion, becomes more important in the performance and longevity realms than it does in the aesthetics. Data shows us that in the aesthetics, it is not at all what you eat. It's how much, with the caveat that you have to hit calories, proteins, carbs, fiber, and fat.
Makes sense. Makes sense to me.
Yeah, it does to me too. Let's put a cap on this one.
I mean, really, when we talk about it, like so many people, because of the fucking zealotry that's out there, they want to overcomplicate this shit.
Right.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, yeah. People make money selling products that what's the word?
Complicate. They probably overcompensate as well. The similar type folks.
Well, that's why I'm poor. That's why I'm poor, man.
Yeah.
Nothing I sell is sexy. I speak the truth, and the truth is rarely sexy in the dietary world. So maybe if I came up with something like the carnivore diet, like I would be a lot richer than I am, but I just wouldn't have the ethical ability to live with myself. My longevity would take a hit.
Well, Mike's going to get really rich with tequila and broccoli.
And you're not dumb. Follow me.
I'm not dumb, so I will follow you. There we go.
That's my new ebook, too. New York bestseller.
You're not dumb.
Dude, your next ebook should definitely be You're Not Dumb.
I'm coming. I'm coming to the top, Oprah. Put me on your list.
You bought this book because you're not dumb.
Appreciate you taking the time, man, for all 3 of these episodes. Where can people find you?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, bro. I would love to have people just, connect and ask any questions on Instagram at Jason Phillips _IM3, or just reach out to the company, im3nutrition.com. We're always taking on new clients if that's something you're looking for.
Cool, man. Thanks so much. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for taking the time to talk to us, and I'll be in touch soon.
Sounds good, brother. I look forward to it, man.
All right. He's Silent Mike with 2 Ks. I am at the Jim McD. The show is 50% facts, 4% is a word. We'll see you next week.
Awesome. Thanks, Jason.
Dude, you got it, brother. I appreciate you guys' time, man.
Yeah, stay in touch and just remind me, and I can connect you with Colleen.
I'm gonna shoot you a text, and I'd love to connect with Colleen, and then I'm gonna make my way out to NorCal here shortly, man. So we'll meet up.
Yeah, 100%. Let's grab a session and maybe another podcast.
Awesome.
Let's do it, brother. I'd love it.
Later, man.
Bye, guys.
Later. That one got a little bit dropped out at the end there, but
that's what I was trying to wrap it, stitch it together. He's got some Jordan Shallow voice. Not only like mannerisms, but voice, doesn't he?